Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm going to be talking about 5 different watercolor do and don'ts. So I'm just going to show you what I have pretty much learned over my year of doing watercolors, and these are just sort of like beginner tips. So my first tip for you is that you should do your line art first in like pencil crayon. I use Prismacolor Color Rice pencils instead of inking first, just since with watercolors when you put the paint down it will make your ink that you just did sort of muted and muddy, and you don't really want that. And tip number 2 is you really want to tape down your artwork. What I like to do is stick the tape to my leg on my jeans, just to get like that jean fiber onto the tape. That way when you tape it down onto your drawing here, it's not going to lift and pull the canvas up with it. So that's why I do that. And just for when you tape your artwork down, it's not going to bend as much as it would if you don't go to tape it down. I'm also going to show you at the end of the video the don't half of the video and what happens side by side if you do the things that I tell you to do, and then what happens if you don't do them. And so the next tip that I have here is that you really want to work in sections. So what I did here is I started coloring in her shoulders with the skin tone color, and then I moved to her face to start coloring, and then I went back down to start coloring in her top. And the reason for this is if you say you do the skin first and then right after the skin you're going to go in and do the hair color, and it's just going to end up bleeding into each other, and then you're going to end up with 2 different colors on top of each other, and they mix and they get muddy together, and it's just not the look that you're going for, and it's not intentional. A lot about watercolors is like unintentional artwork, but you do want to avoid getting like, say, purple hair color in with your pale skin tone. It's just not going to look good together. So my next tip number 4 is to use less water. So with watercolors, you really want to keep either like a piece of cloth beside you, or you can use paper towel. That's what I use. And you really just, when you go to dip your brush into the water and then into the paint, you want to just dab a little bit into your paper towel, and when you use less water it's actually going to dry quicker, so then you also won't get that bleeding as well. And then my last tip is to use 2 different water jugs. On the left here I have a dirty water jug, and on the right I have a clean water jug. And the reason for that is if you use the same water jug, it's going to end up just getting really muddy again, and then if you're not using clean water, your paintings might even end up turning almost black just because you have like not clean water. And it's also super helpful because you don't have to stand up almost every hour to go dump your water and then go get clean fresh water. So that's why I prefer to do it. It's just since when I get into the groove of like painting, I don't really want to stop and get up and go change the water and then come back and paint. It's more fun for me, which is kind of ironic since you have to wait for watercolors to dry most of the time. So here I'm just going through and inking afterwards after I've done painting, and you can see that it's super crisp lines, and I really like the way that that looks. And then I'm just going over and doing her little freckles as well back in the Prismacolor. So here I'm going to go through and I'm going to paint this without taping it down to the surface, which at the end you're going to see how curved that this page is going to end up being just from putting water on it and it buckling. I'm also only going to be using 1 water jug as well. Just the one that I'm using, it has like a metal grate at the bottom to really like scrub your paint off your brushes, so that's the one I'm using, but it's the only one I'm using. I'm also not dipping my brush into paper towel as well, and you can see that her hair is bleeding into her skin here and into her shoulders as well. It didn't really happen too much in her shirt, but since I didn't let it dry first, or I'm adding way too much water, it's just the whole piece is sort of like bleeding into each other. So here I'm just showing you my two different water jugs. I use one with the metal grate for the brushes, and then the right one for clean water. And here you can see the two final results of the paintings. You can tell with the lines that the one on the right is just so much more brighter and it's not as washed out. The one on the left, because we didn't tape it down and it didn't really sit onto the desk evenly, it's bent up and it's out of shape. You can also see with using less water, it didn't really pick up color on the right side, but on the left side her one bun is almost white just because when you use more water it just picks it up. And yeah, you can see with using the two different water jugs it didn't turn out as muddy on the right one as it did with the left side. So yeah, hopefully these do's and don'ts will help you out with learning watercolors and how to make it look bright and pretty. And I hope you guys like this sort of tutorial video, since it's one of the first ones I've done for watercolors, and I hope it's easy to follow along too. So thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for tomorrow's video. Bye!